Yo, what's good? It's your man 100 Grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. Devin Haney is officially a champion at 140 pounds. I want to dive into that in this video. If you enjoy it, smash the like button for me. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. This fight, it was worth purchasing on pay-per-view. I'm from the Bay. I was supposed to be at the fight, but man, when you got kids, man, and you try to plan and think things are going to work out one way, and it just did not work out. But this fight did not disappoint. I'm so glad I was able to watch it. I'm so glad I told the kids to go play in the other room so I could stay focused and see every single round. I was on the phone with my partner, talking mad trash, telling him how Devin Haney was the truth, and he was. So I want to dive into that real quick. Let me just start off by saying what the rumors, I don't even call it rumors. I think some of us understand that power comes with time and age, right? And sometimes the power that people may not seem to have at lower weight classes, all of a sudden as they're moving up, you begin to see that power carry and actually enhance as he goes into a higher weight class or the fighter goes into a higher weight class. And that's exactly what it did for Devin Haney. The power was evident by that second round. You saw Regis begin to move a little bit differently with Dev. By the third round, he was no longer rushing in there. He was no longer headhunting. He was no longer trying to just dig into his body because he was paying for it every time. And something that we also know about boxing is that speed and accuracy also equates to power. So when you're accurate and you have speed, it also is a form of power that's able to keep a fighter off of you, especially a fighter that's trying to land a big punch like Regis Prograis was. Now, one of the things that I was watching for, one is when a fighter is fighting in their hometown for the first time, they can have a lot of energy. And there were a lot of new variables in this fight that I was really concerned about for Dev. One, he was fighting in front of his home crowd, right? So it's a totally different context. Chase Stadium sold out, 16,000 seats. Yo, that was incredible. You can hear the crowd. They was behind them. They were energized. They were ready. And sometimes that causes a fighter to either get a little antsy, get outside of their game plan. Sometimes they're reaching. Sometimes they exhaust themselves trying to go all out for their fans. And it can throw them off of their game plan. And it can be an advantage for their opponent. But that did not happen. You saw the first maybe round and a half, Dev seemed like real energized. But then he landed a couple of big shots. And by that third round, your boy was calm. He was in that driver's seat. He was relaxed. He looked like, I've been here before. And this is what I had also assumed was going to play in Dev's favor, that he's been in big fights. He's been in these championship fights where the home crowd was against him in Australia both times, where he was not favored, or people were still thinking that he wasn't going to be as good as he is against Loma, right? Everybody was kind of like, it's 50-50, right? It ended up being closer to 60-40, 65-35, right? In Dev's favor. Dev has been in these moments more than once. And so that played in his favor as far as calming himself down and getting into that driver's seat. The other aspect that I was concerned about was you're moving up into a higher weight class and immediately facing a champion. Immediately facing a champion who has a belt. Now, of the champions there, he was probably the lesser champion, but a champion nonetheless. A champion who has pop, who has power, right? Who's been here before and was going to have more than enough experience to hang in there with him. Now, my concern was Dev wasn't going to be ready for the power. Dev may not be ready for the physicality. He may not be ready for just his own body and how it's going to feel at this weight class. But I was proven wrong again. Dev quickly settled in, and you saw that he understood he had the power to keep Regis off of him. He had the power to hit Regis and get out of there. And that played a major advantage for him because after a while you saw Regis Prograis' whole game plan just go to shit. it just fell by the wayside. He understood he wasn't going to be able to get in there. He wasn't able to cut off the ring. Dev's quickness and his mobility, his agility, was just too much for him. He was far too athletic. He had the reach. He maintained distance, and Regis simply didn't have an answer for him. He didn't have an answer. The last thing that I was worried about for Dev was going to be trying to prove something. And as always, when a young guy is being counted out constantly, even though he's a champion, sometimes there's a propensity to try to overextend yourself and do too much, right? Trying to land a huge shot, putting yourself at risk, which Dev has done before in the past, where he's put himself at risk and gotten rocked later in rounds because he gets away from his game plan and he begins to take chances. He begins to switch up his style. All of a sudden, he starts trying to brawl, get in there, and all of a sudden he gets caught. And so I was trying to see if that was going to happen, and it didn't. But it also kind of led to what I walked away with in terms of a critique for Dev, is he didn't put him away. He had him hurt at least 3 separate times, and I mean wobbly legged, aside from the time he knocked him down, right? And he never went after him. Now, maybe this was, it sounded like it was an intentional thing from, the post-fight press conference where Dev was saying, yeah, I had opportunities, but, I heard my pops yelling at me, hey, stick to the game plan. And I understand that because right now he's trying to create some new defaults in Dev's mind. He's trying to create some new kind of fundamental soundness in his game, in his fight style that he didn't have before. He didn't have the discipline stretching later into rounds. And that was something that we've seen constantly where Dev began to get away from his game plan. Different punches that was working for him earlier, he just goes away from and loses focus and no longer uses it. And it doesn't allow him to maintain control of a fight. This was a complete fight. And let me say that again. This was a complete fight. Dev did absolutely everything you wanted to see. He dominated from beginning to end. He showed his footwork, his speed, his athleticism. He showed his quickness, his accuracy. He showed the power. He showed the boxing IQ. He knew how to gauge distance. He knew how to establish that jab and maintain it. His punch placement was incredible, whether it was going down low to the body, whether it was coming up top, his hooks, his uppercuts. I mean, he was just showing the entire package. And I'm not even going to say he couldn't put him away. He never went for it. And as much as I can say that I understand that, you have to understand that it also emboldened Regis towards those latter rounds. If you saw that 11th and 12th round, Regis all of a sudden was like, look, all right, if he's not going to put me away, I might as well go for it. And he increased his aggressiveness. He increased his energy coming after Dev. And I think that is something that he's going to have to address because at this level, if you don't put a guy away, you give him more time to figure you out. You give him more time to figure out how to get in there against you, how to find success against you. And so it's imperative that when you have him hurt, you have some sort of a plan of action. And if I was Dev, I would be studying Terrence Crawford. I mean, all fighters should be studying Terrence Crawford. But most importantly, Dev should be studying how Bud systematically puts guys away the moment he believes that they're hurt. And it's something that if you watch the fight prior to the main event, Parle versus Love, right? It was an amazing fight. Major props to Parle coming out of Australia. Apparently he's like a phenom down there where he's been dominating his competition. And he looked to step up his competition coming to the U.S. for the first time. And many times that can be a bit of a challenge for a fighter coming to the U.S. for the first time. Just ask Anthony Joshua. Got his ass knocked out by Andy Ruiz first time coming to the U.S., right? And so when you look at what he was facing, the package he put together, this young man looked like the truth. Because when he caught Love and realized he had an advantage over him, that Love didn't have anything that he could throw back at him, he began to systematically come at him to put him away. And I think that that is an aspect of Devin Haney's fight plan and his game that he's going to have. Because now that he realizes he has more power than he had at 135 pounds, right? And he's got the talent, he's got the athleticism, he's going to be in that situation more than once. And when you're fighting guys like Tank Davis, when you're fighting guys like Shakur Stevenson, when you're fighting guys who are going to be elite, and I was talking about going up to 147 pounds, you have to put them away. If you know that you have an opportunity, you cannot allow another great fighter an opportunity to last rounds and potentially figure you out. Because he's going to come against somebody who is going to figure him out later and all of a sudden catch him. And now instead of winning a fight, winning by stoppage, knockout, or clear unanimous decision, it becomes a split, right? It becomes a draw because they caught you late and they turned it up 10, 11, 12. And now all of a sudden people are looking, well, how effective was those punches early on? And now it's a debate. You don't want to be in that situation as a fighter. And so I think that that's a major aspect of his fight plan that he's going to have to put together. How can he go to the body, set him up to go up top, and still remain defensively responsible? How can he maintain distance while putting punches together? And that was something that I thought I would see more of in terms of putting together maybe 3-4 punch combinations, especially once he had him hurt. Like that's the time. Regis is not going to be able to put together a power punch as his legs are wobbling. It's just not going to happen. And you've got to be able to perceive that when you hurt him and those legs buckle, you've got to be able to jump on that opportunity, still maintain spacing, and systematically try to put a guy away. It doesn't mean you burn yourself out, but it means that you systematically put him away. And maybe that was something that also, Haney's father was thinking about too. His first time fighting at 140 pounds. This is another champion. We don't want him to press the, gas too early because he knocked him down. I think it was the third round, but early on. Didn't want to press on the gas, and all of a sudden you get tired. And now that you're tired, you can't move and evade those advances. And all of a sudden now, he catches you. So maybe that was it. But later in the fight, on the back end of the fight, when he wobbled him, he just never went for it. And so that was the major takeaway that I had from this fight. But other than that, Dev looks great. Dev looks amazing. I don't know. He's talking about greatness going up to 147 pounds. I don't know who else he's thinking about going after who has a belt at 147 pounds. But greatness would also look like clearing out 140. Let's be real. If he can clear out 140 pounds and become unanimous at 140 pounds as well, that's greatness. Because he's got T.O. there. He's got legit other champions there who are also great fighters in their own right. And if he puts them away, can't nobody tell him nothing. If he puts all them away over the next 2 years, can't nobody tell him nothing at all. But I would still love to see him take another fight at 140 pounds, maybe one or two before he faces another champion. And then kind of systematically, like 1 or 2 fights a year with just regular Joes, get him out of there, knock him out, keep increasing that power, and then build up to face a champion at 140. And then the next year, do the same thing. 1 or 2 kind of guys to establish that power, then go get the next champion. Boom. Get all the belts at 140. Become a 2-time unanimous 2-division champion. That's Hall of Fame greatness. And then move up to 147 and clear out there too. I think that's coming for him. As for other guys who are behind him, like Tank and Shakur, look, Tank is a money fight. I get it. But if I'm Dev, I am in the driver's seat. Neither of them has done anything to warrant to say you have the same level of package competition that can say you deserve 50-50 with me. Maybe because Tank brings the money as well, so he can talk about that. But as for both of them, neither of them has faced the competition that Dev has. So that would be the type of train that I would be on right now. Face the regular competition and then go ahead and take a champion once for the next couple of years until he clears out that 140 pound division. But with that, if you enjoyed the video, if you agree with me, holler at me in the comment section, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I'm going to get at y'all next time. Peace.